The air combat between India and Pakistan proved to the world just how crucial integrated warfare systems are. But ironically, both the United States and Russia have recently taken steps to phase out their airborne early warning aircraft, abandoning the most important element of a modern air combat system. Let's start with Russia. After 18 years of effort, the A-100 AWACS project has been effectively shelved. And in the U.S., the Air Force is considering canceling the procurement of the E-7A, hoping instead to rely on satellite-based systems to replace traditional airborne early warning roles. This raises a big question. Are AWACS platforms obsolete? Can satellites truly take over their role? And why would the U.S. and Russia abandon AWACS now? What are they not telling us? In a modern combat system, AWACS is irreplaceable. For instance, during the India-Pakistan skirmish, some reports say that Pakistan shot down Rafale using a complex coordination, radar lock from ground-based HQ-9 system, missile launch from J-10C, and final guidance provided by ZDK-03 AWACS aircraft. Other sources suggest the AWACS detected enemy positions and distributed targeting data to fighter squadrons, who then used onboard radar to fire missiles. Either way, AWACS played a key role. Modern air combat depends on seeing the enemy first and firing first. Fighters can turn on their own radar, but that compromises stealth, especially for fifth-generation jets. If you're going to shine a flashlight, it might as well be an AWACS doing it from afar. So why are Russia and the US ditching theirs? After repeated delays, Russia finally canceled the A-100, claiming that AWACS aircraft have poor survivability in future warfare. They argued that radar-equipped fighters like the Su-35S and Su-57 can handle airspace surveillance and command duties instead. Here's the background. Russia started the A-100 project in 2004, but didn't manage its first, incomplete, test flight until 2017. It wasn't until after the Ukraine war began in 2022 that they managed a full featured flight. 18 years in total just to get a single prototype flying. And it still wasn't ready. Only one A-100 was airborne. Another sat abandoned at an airfield in Taganrog. The radar system couldn't be finalized, partly because it used imported components and couldn't be mass-produced. With the war in Ukraine draining resources, the program was quietly killed off. To be fair, AWACS aircraft haven't exactly fared well in the Ukraine war. Several A-50 were taken down without even engaging. Drones were flying circles around them. Scrapping the A-100 may have been the smart move. As for the U.S., the Air Force originally planned to buy 26 E-7A aircraft. Now they're considering scrapping that order and replacing the fleet's airborne early warning role with satellite systems, delegating AMTI and GMTI missions to space-based assets. That means letting artificial intelligence in orbit take command of the battle space. But there's a big problem. The E-7A was supposed to be the first new AWACS since the E-3 entered service in 1977. If they cancel it, the Air Force would be stuck with aging E-3, the newest of which is already 33 years old. Despite upgrades, these airframes are outdated. The reason for the potential cancellation is simple: cost overruns and delays. Meanwhile, Trump has pushed for a Golden Dome space-based defense initiative, and U.S. satellites are already using synthetic aperture radar, which can stay online 24/7. Still, it's not a done deal. Air Force Chief of Staff Charles Q. Brown says satellites can't fully replace AWACS. Vice Commander of U.S. Space Command Michael Getline adds that satellite-based AMTI might only be ready by the early 2030s. So it's likely the Air Force will probably accept 2 E-7A units first, and then wait to see how the satellite program progresses. If orbital performance improves significantly, then canceling the rest of the order might be back on the table. At this point, AWACS are like the unloved stepchild, too vulnerable to survive, too important to do without. Here's the hard truth. AWACS survivability is terrible. Lighting up the enemy also makes them a high-priority target. These aircraft act as airborne command centers, managing and directing assets in real time. Naturally, that makes them an enemy's first target. Fifth-generation stealth fighters have made the problem worse. Take the E-3, for example. It can detect non-stealth targets from 400 kilometers away, but stealth jets like the F-22? That range drops to just 80 kilometers. The US found this out the hard way during F-22 testing. By the time an E-3 detected an F-22, it was already within missile range. And since AWACS can't operate silently, they constantly emit radar and communication signals. They're easy to detect and track. They're slow, huge, expensive, and impossible to hide. In a great power war, they're floating targets. So should we just only use fighters instead? Not so fast. Replacing AWACS with fighters is a flawed idea. Su-35s can't match the range, processing power, or crew size of an A-50, let alone the A-100. A fighter with one pilot simply can't do the job of a 15-person crew. Russia is essentially repeating a failed US experiment. America once tried replacing the E-3 with F-35 connected via MADL data links for distributed ops. It didn't work. That's why they circled back to the E-7A. What about satellites? Now we're getting somewhere. Systems like SpaceX's Starshield, a military-grade upgrade of Starlink, are promising. In 2021, the U.S. National Reconnaissance Office signed a $1.8 billion contract with Starshield to build reconnaissance satellites. These would carry advanced imaging payloads from Northrop Grumman and offer ground-moving target tracking by 2028. By mid-2025, prototype satellites were already testing MTI capabilities, according to NORAD Commander Gregory Guillot. Although no sensor specs were disclosed, the project is real and moving forward. There may even be a middle ground, using space planes like the X-37B. It can act as a maneuverable AWACS with onboard data processing, communications, navigation, and surveillance systems. It combines space survivability with the flexibility of an aircraft. AWACS can also evolve. The simplest way to improve survivability? Boost radar range and stay farther away from the front lines. Add active defense interceptors or surround the aircraft with drone bodyguards. Another idea: use two AWACS aircraft in tandem. In this setup, they can triangulate stealth fighters like the F-22. Under ideal conditions, two E-3 could detect a stealth jet from over 400 kilometers. Once located, fighters can be sent to intercept, guided by the AWACS. This anti-stealth tactic has been around for years, but hasn't gone mainstream due to its complexity. Coordinating signals, managing detection angles, and converting coordinates isn't easy, but it's not impossible. The future of AWACS is likely distributed and unmanned. One proposal: separate the radar and command roles. Drones fly forward with radar. Stealthy command aircraft stay back and direct the fight. Sure, the radar still gets targeted, but the human crew survives. A distributed early warning network is the end goal. The F-35 already does this with radar fusion. When multiple jets fly together, their radar feeds can merge into a unified picture. It's hard to do. F-35 only got this with a Block 4 upgrade, but the benefits are huge. For F-35, working together can cover as much as an E-2D. They lose stealth while networking, but they're still harder to kill than a lumbering E-3. And it's redundant. If one jet is shot down, others take over seamlessly. Replace those F-35 with drones, and the possibilities expand even further. In conclusion, despite the risks, airborne early warning remains vital in integrated warfare. Russia gave up on AWACS because it couldn't finish the job. The US has a potential replacement, satellites, but it's not ready yet. So what do you think? What will the early warning systems of the future look like? Leave a comment and let's discuss it below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.